Hello, welcome to our panel. Hopefully you guys have all had a great inaugural slice. This is really cool. There's so many people here, so congrats to Tim and everyone at Seattle Indies and all the folks behind the scenes who put it together. You guys did an awesome job. Based on the name, I assume a lot of you are like me and from Seattle, but if you're not, for all the people traveled in, welcome to Seattle. It's always lovely like this. It never rains. In general, today we'll be discussing marketing and the strategies that you can implement in your studio's process, but a lot of the discussion is going to center around community because whether you're a small studio, whether you're a giant AAA, whether you're a publisher with a million SKUs or whatnot, community is always like the number one tool in your toolbox. Community is always what's going to drive it, and actually more now than ever. And I don't know if we're going to get into it in the panel, but Vince and Bruce have both done a lot of PR, and in the old days, you know, the press and the media were such an important part of the mix, and I think that in the last years we've seen that balance and power shift really to community because they can be every bit as much as effective. So I think we're going to talk a lot about that, but in general, we're happy to talk about all the marketing and the framework and how it works. But when you hear us talk about community, I think it's just because it's such an important part of anybody's marketing. So for indie marketing team budgets and teams, sometimes you don't have the official resources. Show of hands, how many of you all do marketing and have marketing nowhere in your title? All right, there we go. But no matter your size or what your title is, community is something you can start building now, long before launch. So when you build your marketing opportunity into the development process, then almost anything becomes a touch point with your consumers. And so that's another thing you're going to hear in the conversation today is make your assets and what you create work harder for you. And you do that by thinking early and planning ahead of time so that it's not like a one and done use. You think about things getting 5 and 10 uses so that way you can stretch your resources, your dollars, which is important anywhere. Okay, so for today's panel, we got a mix of backgrounds and experiences, including some with some great hands-on indie experience, and then some of us have just been in the industry so long that we've seen the whole cycle a couple times, and before there were things called indies, we were just tiny local publishers or studios up in Bothell, Washington. So let me introduce our experts today. Essen Demirci, she's an experienced marketing leader in gaming industry. She's contributed to player experiences across some of gaming's most iconic franchises. So Western branding, marketing on Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest. I worked with her at Blizzard. So she also worked at Riot and helped a bunch of indie folks with the Riot Forge and helped build that program. And then, like I said, I worked with her at Blizzard where she supported Diablo and Warcraft. So. Next up is John Hansen. John is the founder of Skilltree Marketing, marketing agency helping indies and AA studios turn limited budgets into outsized results. I think he's only been doing this for a few months, and before that, he was previously at Warner Brother Games. He drove the cross-promotion and network content strategy across a portfolio of a bunch of titles there. Some of my favorites, Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, to name two of my favorites. And then today, John works with studios on user acquisition, creative strategy, go-to-market execution, designed to maximize all the marketing dollars. So we are technically competitors, and yet as soon as he started his company, we talk, we share notes, and we would collaborate, because I think that's the other thing about the indie game and the gaming community in general is we're all going to end up working with each other at some point. So we're real friendly, we share best practices, and that's another way to kind of expand your opportunities and your marketing muscle. So John, let's give a clap for John. Bruce Dugan in the middle, who I've had the pleasure of working with at Rockstar Games and Wizards of the Coast. Bruce has also had leadership roles at Activision Blizzard and turned 10, where I think he's still technically an employee for 2 days. So in 3 days, he will start his new job at the NPC Guild joining us. So there we go. Thanks, Bruce. And then we have Vince. Vince I've never said your last name. Slavin. Vince Slavin. Vince has worked in a variety of roles: PR, marketing, influencer relations, community management. Matter of fact, I think technically right now you're dual role. You're like PR and community and influencers over at Amazon. But he's also worked at Bethesda, NCSoft, Tecmo Koei. So I've got some questions on that one because I've worked with them a ton. And like I said, now currently at Amazon Games. So he rounds out our panel here. And I guess I didn't really introduce myself, but I'll moderate. My name is Nathan Stewart, if I didn't say it already. I started in the business about 26 years ago at a tiny local developer, Humongous Entertainment, and Cave Dog, if anyone remembers those two ones. And since then, I've just been lucky enough to work around a lot of fun studios, fun brands. I see 20 people in here that we've worked together before, so that's one of the reasons why we all keep coming back, is because of the great people in this industry. And so for those of you newer in the industry, it's going to be great, even though it's kind of tough and crazy right now. But again, in 26 years in, and lots of highs and lows, but mostly my worst days in gaming are better than bankers' best days banking, I think. Okay, so we're going to get onto the thing here for a second, but just remember, no matter what size team you have, where you're at in the process, never too soon to start your marketing, and that is kind of the intro to the question. So Essen, I'm going to start with you. You've talked about this a lot. When should indie studios start marketing, and how do you plan community into the dev schedule, or the flywheel, or the full spectrum? What do you call it?
I want to call it a buffet, because I came up with this analogy this morning because I was so hungry. And, so marketing for any game is like going into a buffet. You have all of these delicious dishes, but what I see from indie gamers is like focus on PR or community only. So it's like going to a buffet and eating just one dish. No, you don't want to eat everything and make yourself sick too. So you have to make sure that you have the combination that works for you. Regarding your question to when to start, I want to say with pre-production, because I sat in a lot of panels today where developers talked about when they went to their Kickstarter campaign or started talking to community, they didn't know what their voice was. So I'd start with the pre-production. Writing down what your game is about is branding. Everyone on the table getting on the same page about what your game is about is branding. So like doing that framework, and then testing all of these new marketing channels and figuring out which one works for your game the best.
Thanks, Essen. John, I think when we were first talking, I wrote this down, you said marketing should start before coding begins. So you tend to agree with Essen on this?
Yeah, I think people should start their marketing effort before they write a single line of code. And the reason is because if you're going to spend time, resources, effort, it can take a year or more, longer to make a game, you need to first understand the market. So that means research, understand the audience. Who are you speaking to? If you have a buffet and you're trying to prioritize your marketing efforts, where is your audience? What is their language? How do they communicate? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Reddit? Are they on both? What terminology do they use? What psychology do they have? And so understanding all of those things, as well as the market in respect to, if you have a roguelike deck builder, are there 10,000 other games that are releasing in the same time frame? So understanding the pricing of your game, the competition that you have, and the audience that you want to serve the game to, and you want people playing your game. So I think that if you're going to go through the process of making a game, you need to first start mapping out what you're going to do from a research perspective in marketing.
Thank you. Switching gears a little bit, but speaking of the buffet, I love that one. So when a small studio is making content to work across there, I don't think it's the same buffet analogy, but I talked about using things that are going to do kind of multiple purpose on there. So what's an example of content that can be repurposed across channels like store pages and social and PR? Like how do you develop those without just more work for the team?
Yeah, so I want to approach this from two-prong. When you have a trailer, we have, let's say, a 1.5 minute trailer. We post it on YouTube, and then we cut it down and post it to Instagram, different stories. And then we repurpose it on TikTok, someone watching it and post it there. So when you are building one piece of content, adjusting it per platform and reusing it is an amazing tool to create hardworking assets. I highly recommend reposting stuff, because as you develop your audience, as you connect with your community, new people will be joining to your socials and your community, and you can repost stuff from the past to catch them up to what you have been doing. And if you have a blog post, turn it into a Instagram story. One of your devs reading what the game update as a TikTok post. So, like from one piece of content, you can create so many different varieties that are platform native and, leverage it across all your marketing channels.
And if I could just add on to that too, I'd say whenever you all are spending money on bringing in a camera crew or anyone, a vendor like that, take advantage of it. There's lots of downtime and stuff on the thing. If you're filming one thing, but you can get these other shots that are going to be on your social, do whatever. But again, it just takes pre-planning in terms of making sure the right people are in the room. But if you're spending the money, then make it really smart, and that takes an extra beat, but it'll pay off. And always get everything in the can, even if you don't know where you're going to use it, because later it might be content.
Yeah, and also, like GoPros are your friends. Put a GoPro on your creative designer, and then, put the entire process in an accelerated time frame. I had worked with a lot of indie studios that they couldn't hire a production crew, and we used so many GoPro assets. It works amazing because it fits to the authenticity of the indies.
Yeah. Vince, I have a question add on to this. How does earned media fit into this? So you don't have to just get earned media and it just be there. That can also be leveraged, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you've all seen trailers that have quotes from press or review scores on the actual footage. That's something you can do. You can take that footage and share it through your social channels too. It kind of adds credibility to the game and the things that you're making. You can sometimes get permission from the press to use their quotes for marketing purposes. And if you have content creators creating content off of your games, there's also the option to talk to them and possibly have that used for video content on your site or for your ads as well. So it's kind of it builds onto the things that you're working and you're earning and you're getting, and you're able to reapply them in other ways as well.
Yeah, I think community, as I said in the beginning, is such a base for everything we're doing here today. Speaking of which, Bruce, I'll direct this one to you. I don't think we've heard you talk yet. So how do you keep communities engaged and avoid burnout? You've worked with Player Council, I know. What are the keys to managing expectations so they stay engaged long term?
I think that's it. I think managing expectations, as you said, maintaining kind of a consistent cadence, communicating, especially when it's hard, is really important. In terms of burnout, you're probably going to wind out with devs more burnt out than the actual community. So not over-promising, not under-delivering, I think are really important.
And Bruce wouldn't bring this up, so I will, but both he and I lived through the OGL debacle, and the one thing you said...
My mic doesn't work.
Yeah. And so, I will say that what he said in there about talking to the community when it's hard, there's nothing more deafening than silence when all the community wants to do is hear from you, and you just got your lawyers and everyone else saying, don't talk to them. No, so take your superpower, especially if you're an indie and you don't have a lawyer and no one's going to tell you no or not. It's a two-way sword. You have to be careful. Anything you say can be weaponized or whatnot. But I've always found with community-driven brands and teams and stuff like that, that honesty, authenticity, and stuff. Tell them it's really hard. We fucked up. I'm sorry. Like we're gonna put safeguards in to change the thing. This is why. Didn't mean for it to happen. But this is what happened. And again, lots of times there's reasons you can't do that, and so then folks like Bruce and I are just like. And then you kind of hose your community.
I think giving the why whenever possible, especially with very bad news, always kind of helps the community get like on your wavelength, get into your mindset, really understand the thought process. So even if they don't agree with the decision, they're not jumping to conclusions or jumping to the wrong conclusions about how you got there or that it was not made with the community in mind.
Builds a lot of goodwill too. Like if you have that transparency, you show that openness that you're willing to show them, what's going on, goes a long way in getting them on board with you.
John, I'm going to switch a little bit, but on the community side, I know that especially at Skilltree, you posted a lot of best practices and things for Steam Store and everything. So I want to talk about from the platform side, kind of what tools or structures can help a community stay healthy without requiring the dev to stop making the game and divert their attention. But there's lots of tools in place to manage that even on the stores.
Yeah, so there's Steam page optimization stuff that everyone should be focused on, such as the trailer. Valve has given a lot of guidance around that, but I mean, the first 5 seconds is really important as far as converting. The capsule art, the copy, all of it needs to be in a good place. And I do want to touch a little bit more on the community side as well, as far as consistency. She made the example of a buffet. I like to think of community kind of like an exercise routine. The gains aren't going to happen overnight. You need to be consistent. And part of that consistency is whenever you have challenging community where they push back or don't like features or there's bugs or whatever, it's being authentic with that community and speaking to them, but also not getting caught up if your social media isn't performing well, things aren't, you don't have the impressions or engagement or reach that you're expecting. So being consistent on the community side and then leveraging that when you're driving people from community to the Steam page, that you have everything optimized so you get more conversions and more people to purchase the game or wishlist the game.
Now, John, not to put words in your mouth, but you said these, so I'm just going to kind of say it back to you. I've also seen you talk about not ending there, right? Not ending at the wish list when they get the game, and seeing some great games, some successful launches lately that saw their engagement with the community drop after launch, and that's not ideal either.
No, and I think that's another pitfall that some development studios make is they treat launch as a one-off event. And obviously, there's going to be the most amount of velocity around a launch, but giving up on your community, giving up on your marketing activities, and giving up on the game after it launches is a huge mistake. The deep truth is, when it comes to games, it's something that you can drive revenue for a very long time. It could be years that you're driving sales and promotions and engaging with the community. You have new content that drops. So it ties back again to the consistent effort that you need to have when it comes to marketing and communicating your game.
Yeah, I want to add one thing about this exercise analogy. I really love that. Similar to your production schedule, please have a marketing schedule. And for your social posts and community engagements, try to keep it sustainable. The ideal is what work for you. So if you are posting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, post every Tuesday and Thursday. Consistency matters. Plan ahead, and a calendar, very simple, but a social calendar does wonders in terms of building community.
And on that note, it may seem simple, but put a few things in the can. Put some easy ones in there, some what I call them fluff posts or whatnot that maybe aren't going to drive to a sale or aren't going to have a CTA that drives the thing, but so that you can keep that consistency, because then the algorithm keeps working for you. You train people to come back and look so that when you do have the pre-order now, wish list now, or whatnot, then it shows up on their feed because you have them in dark for a while. So yeah, get some stuff, some canned things ready. I don't know if Brandy's in here or not, but one of the community people for D&D posted a post one time. What are the top numbers you can roll on a D20? And it was 20, 19, 18, 17, and then he flip-flopped 13 and 12. I don't know why, but like that post went off the charts good, and I'm just like, why do you do this? He goes, so next post, everyone will see it. I'm like, okay, that's why you're you and I'm not.
Yeah, and I like a 70-30 ratio. 70 of your posts should be about, like your studio, your work, your game, and only 30 should be like directing them to stores. This way you don't come out as super sales pitchy and transactional to your community. You build real relationship. It's great to keep a balance of how many times you link to a store page.
Yeah, and I want to follow up on the content calendar because I think there's a really good call out. But if you're building a content calendar, it should be viewed as a living, breathing document, meaning that you don't set it and forget it, and that you're viewing the data to help inform, okay, if you're going to have a certain type of post on Tuesday or Thursday, is that the right time? Is that the right type of post? So making sure that the content, you're updating it, you're refreshing it based off of what the community is telling you through data and through sentiment.
Yeah, and I think Essen said this earlier, and I think you'd agree, John. High-performing posts, repost them in different ways and whatnot because they're going to stick well, and because half or more of the audience didn't see it last time you posted. All right, I think we do want to have some Q&A if you guys all want to have Q&A. So I'm going to give one more question kind of from the pre-list here. And Vince, I'll look to you maybe on here because I think we've talked a lot about community as an abstract or creators, as I'll call them, whatnot. But when you look at PR and creators, like how do you approach them so that it feels like community building instead of just promotion?
Right. With press, there's going to be times when it's right to engage them, right? Like usually when you're ready to announce something or you're ready to show the next evolution of it. With community, you can start right away, as we've said. You can start at the very beginning, and that goes for content creators as well. You're building a community with them. And if you start earlier, then you have the luxury of taking it slow and being intentional with how you grow that relationship. So when you're building the community, you can reach out for content creators who maybe make content about the kinds of game that you're making, right? You can talk to them on a personal level saying like, I really like your content. I like the kind of game. I'm making one too. You can kind of build that relationship and you're not asking them for anything at this time, right? So it's not a transactional conversation. It's very authentic. And you can kind of over time, build that relationship, then involve them in times when you have an alpha or something for them to play and share with their community. And that way it'll come across as like they know you, you've been talking to them. It's a more natural kind of conversation than when you go out to press and you're very much like with press talking to them for the purpose of getting coverage, right? You're showing them a thing in hopes that they'll share it with their readers or with their audience. So by doing it, early and organically and kind of not just like I want to talk to you for, creating content, but for your feedback. Like, I know you're an expert in this kind of game. What do you think about this? I've seen people do this where they will engage content creators early in the process before the game is even ready to show to press, just to say like, what do you think is really streamable or like engaging about this game that you think your audience would like? How could we adjust the game to be more appealing to people who watch streams, So you can get that kind of information and that kind of feedback from them if you start off early enough where you can actually make those adjustments when it counts.
And don't be afraid to embargo creators. They will follow embargoes. It's their business too. People make their livelihood on streams. You're like, don't do it. But I've had so much success with a couple key partners, bringing them in, setting the date for it to go to line up with your marketing plan.
Right. I mean, if you're building these relationships with them, right, and you trust them and they know you, you can make that kind of request of them to say, like, I'm bringing you in on something that's really early and special and unique to you, but for this to work, I really need you to work with me on this kind of thing, right? And that way you can, when you're paying a content creator, you have that as part of your agreement, right? Like, you can't do anything, otherwise it would break the agreement. But with these kinds of earned creators, if you built that relationship, you do have that currency of the relationship that you want to honor and keep going.
Bruce is like, no. All right. Let's go ahead and do, we've got time for a couple questions, I'm sure. And again, these folks have so much more info than what we shared today.
Hi.
Leah in the front.
How you doing?
Good.
So coming from larger like AA and AAA studios, they always put such a big premium, like milestone on like the game announce. And I wonder, like, when more you're in the indie space, and especially with community being such a part of it, like, do you feel like having that one big press beat and that kind of thing of like a game announce is really critical? Or, and if so, what are you talking about beforehand? Like, how much are you pulling the curtain back beforehand?
I mean, I can speak to this. I think you should announce it as soon as you have a good idea of what your game is about. And we haven't touched this, but market research on AAA and AA games, we do the marketing department, the brand department, we do months and months market research leading up to that moment. And it's very expensive. I like announcing it, doing the pre-campaign, especially if you're doing a Kickstarter or any of crowdfunding campaigns, just to test your idea, just to see if people are engaging with it, if there's a market for it. Announce it, tell it, and then hone in your key message on what they're resonating with, what they're not liking about your game. I like announcing early if there's no like such.
Yeah. I think announce is very different for indies, right? Because if you're a AAA, if you're announcing a new Mortal Kombat or a new Blizzard game, they have spent a long time building up that awareness of brand equity, and so people are excited, and it's going to land differently versus an indie game that's not going to have that same level of awareness. And there's 19,000 games that got released on Steam last year, so you got to set expectations. I think it's more of a building in public type of a announce where it's not a big key beat, it's more of an ongoing, this is what we're working on, this is what we're building to. I think to her point, like, it's good to like validate ideas with the community early and see what they feel about it, but the announce is not a big beat in the same sense that it would be for a AAA.
Yeah, I think it's like not one size fits all too, because like with AAA titles, especially established franchises, sometimes it's not just to announce the game, sometimes it's just to get the attention of shareholders, right? You say that the next installment of this game is coming, even if it could be 5-6 years down the line, that's the purpose, right? To show it that it's actually in development and it's coming, and then people get excited for it. With AA games and indie games, you don't have to do that as much. You're really just doing what's right for your audience and for your customers. And then another thing to note is that announcement can mean so many different things, right? Maybe like to Essence Point, you're announcing a Kickstarter that this concept is starting just to get feedback, right? You can announce the actual official release date of the game much later, make a bigger deal of it. You can announce maybe a beta for the game. Different kinds of steps can be announcements, and they can all have like different volume and different weight associated with how you want to present it.
My only additional piece of feedback is, as Bruce and I were talking about silence being a bad thing, whatnot, I would say once you've announced, that's like getting on the train, so don't think you're jumping off anytime soon. That doesn't mean you have to have beat after beat of stuff, but if you're going along a root grassroots thing, then know what your plan is to go out to the different indie shows and when you're going to touch people and whatnot. And once you started talking, don't be silent, so have it be planned, share a lot, even if it's to say the next update is coming in 4 months.
Or at least tell people you're being silent on purpose.
Right.
I mean, I want to add that I famously ran the longest pre-order campaign in the gaming industry history. I ran a 6-year campaign on Kingdom Hearts 3. And
What
I
a
was like,
dubious honor.
don't do that too, please.
All right. And that's why you want to talk to people who've stepped in it before, because we'll tell you what not to do. All right, next question. Oh, look at that. Sydney's mom in the front. I'm sorry, Desiree. Desiree in the front.
I love you too. Okay, this is a two-part because I keep thinking of questions as I listen to you guys. So the first one is, okay, this is a room full of indie developers, and obviously we don't have copious amounts of money to just drop on marketing, and everybody is competing in a very tight market and screaming into the void all at the same time. If you had, let's say, $500, where would you recommend that I put that money into? And while you're thinking on that, I know that on LinkedIn we get a metric ton of like people that like put a bunch of posts and run their mouths and put out what it basically amounts to bad advice. What is the worst marketing advice that you have seen on social circles?
All right, so we don't run long on this. This is what I would like. I would like the part one of the question, $500. What's the one thing you spend it on? 1 or 2 word answer. We go down the list.
Can I say it depends?
No,
on
1
the
or 2. We got to pick it.
game?
Nope. Everyone pick your one thing to.
Okay, John, you start.
Capsule art.
Yes, branding, key art.
Bruce?
I've never had $500 to spend. I can't get over the figure.
Vince?
Promoting user-generated content, like fan content.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll go down the other way. We'll start with Vince and go. Oh wait, did you go? You jumped on
No,
and said
I
branding?
said key art and logo. You know, I've seen some logos. Make sure that your logo is readable, discoverable. Your key art shows what your game is about. Invest in that.
All right, now starting here at Vince. The second part of your question was, what's the worst advice you've seen on LinkedIn? All right. Doesn't have to be LinkedIn. You can go with the worst marketing or PR advice.
I just think of all those like B2B sales dumb stories that have nothing to do with anything and how they start on LinkedIn. The worst advice. I mean, like when people try to pitch you on a thing like the latest trend and how important it is, like I think that's bad advice. I think it's like John said, like don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like do a lot of different things, a little bit at a time. Don't go all in on one particular thing. Try a little bit of different things and see how they work. And they're not all going to grow at the same rate. You know, like one thing that works in one place isn't going to necessarily work in another place. Kind of just within reason, manage what you can manage and kind of grow it that way to what fits your needs. You know, don't go all in on one particular trendy thing.
Bruce, worst advice you've seen?
I think just generally all of it. I think if anybody had good advice, they'd be getting paid to give it to someone, and they wouldn't be spending that much time on LinkedIn giving it away for free. That's how I really feel about it.
Well, that's similar. Whenever I see new parents or going to be new parents, I give them this advice. I say, everyone's got advice. Don't listen to it. That worked for them. Your situation is completely different. I think it applies the same way, right? And then the other advice I say is to just sleep when you can. But then their baby sleeps and it's fine. John, worst advice you've seen?
Just make a great game and go viral.
Oh!
Go viral's a good one. Yeah.
Essen?
That was my response to because you know, like I see a lot of, and then I did this and it went viral. But why? How? When? When did you post this? Also, I hate that, you know, like don't talk to your community unless you have something to say. I heard this and I'm like, no. Talk to your community, please.
You want to know what they want. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know that I've seen this advice, but anyone who tells you that there's a shortcut, that it's just if you just do this, then it's fine and whatnot, and you don't put in the work. The work is what makes a difference. We're all artisans in our craft in terms of stuff. You're not making a game that you wouldn't, you know, think about the design and all that kind of stuff. So you got to think about the consumers the same. So anytime it's just here's a trick or here's a fast track or whatnot, then it's going to fall off a cliff, right? Because you're making stuff for humans who are complex. All right, do we have another question? We have time for a couple more, I think, yeah. Who's got the mic?
Who's got?
All right, we got a question up top in the, I can't see.
There we go. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
My name's Tyler. Good. How are you? Thank you
Good.
so much for an awesome panel. I run a marketing company called Game Brokers.
Game brokers?
Game
Oh,
brokers.
don't work
No
with them.
promotion,
That sounds
Tyler. No free
transactional.
promotion.
I'm sorry, no free promotion. Apologies. Olga will have to hit me later. So one of the things I'm running up into with influencers specifically and getting them partnered or ambassadored, whatever you want to say, with an indie game or a AA game is they do need cash. And almost every influencer I've worked with will not do it on goodwill or earned media. And I've been friends with a lot of them for over 10 years. So I'm finding for indie studios, they should be working with these influencers, but they can't. So what can they do?
Can I answer this one? I have a strong feeling.
Sure.
So number one, go to smaller influencers, because I will tell you that the giant influencers I wouldn't even spend money on anymore. I would only kind of go mid and lower. And secondly, they need value cash, I don't necessarily think of it. I never like to say cash. I like to say resources in terms of things because, especially influencers, right? They're selling themselves. They're selling a brand to the people there, whatnot, and that has value. So they should be getting something of value for their value, and that's fair. But an unreleased game with no details out on it, that's content that no one else has, does have value for why people are going to watch. So I think that it just depends on what you're providing, has to be worth enough value for their time. And so if you don't have cash, find the other things. I mean, Vince, Bruce, people coming in early to see a game.
Exclusivity is a currency.
Exclusivity.
It is, yeah.
And also, I worked with AAA companies and developers, and we had hard and fast rules that we never paid for play. And I highly recommend not working with influencers like that.
So if they want, I've done a lot of stuff with celebrities too, and celebrities can't really get outside of paying, but I never go to the agent first if I can help it, because I want to know if the celebrity wants to do it. Because if I go pay someone and they don't care, then you're going to get what you pay for. But if they love it, then I'm going to get 10x what I paid for. People always used to ask, how much do you pay Joe Manganiello to come to your D&D things? I paid him nothing. He paid me. He licensed D&D to make death saves.
It's going to be on TMZ.
Oh, crap. I'm not probably supposed to say this. But anyway, he got the license. I gave him the license because he wanted to make merch. So he would come to my events to sell merch, and I would get 10% of his sales, and I got Joe Manganiello there to do the stuff. So there's always value that you can find in the thing, and if you're not finding that, then I think that's where you got to put the time in.
Yeah, and like to Nathan's point, like you don't necessarily have to go after a large creator, right? Like you can find the most passionate creator that maybe isn't large and help them grow. Like there's a story I have from Gearbox where if you remember Battleborn, there was a streamer who really loved Battleborn and she didn't have a huge audience. And I would work with her, I gave her access to the devs, answered their questions, and she just kept streaming Battleborn, just kept going, and she grew. And obviously she's not streaming Battleborn anymore, but she's still streaming. And she grew to a level where now she gets paid by people. But I mean, like when I knew her, she wasn't a large streamer. I just recognized her passion that she really wanted to learn more about the game and engage with the community and grow that following. And just our giving her access, that was the currency that she wanted. Yeah. She saw the long-term benefit of growing her audience and growing her status as a streamer by having this thing that nobody else had.
Sweat equity is a resource.
Not quite payment either. In-game currency that they can give to their viewers. We've done stuff where we've given affiliate links so that if you click through while watching someone stream, they get a small portion of a game sale or something.
Give them 10
like
Steam
so it's
codes
not
to
direct
give to their
payment, but
audience.
it's
They
still
care
value.
about that brand with their audience.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do to make them more successful with their audience, that's a value.
You can create unique assets for Twitch drops too. You can create things in game that are of value to the community that you can offer in place of payment.
Thanks. All right, another question.
Awesome panel, guys. Appreciate it. My name is Mason. I'm a community manager for a small indie publishing company called Mad Mushroom. And so I have a specific question that maybe is not applicable to everybody, but I get to work across a lot of smaller games. And the interesting part with that as a community manager and kind of in the marketing space is I don't have all the time to make unique content for each game, but B, because we're a publisher, I'm not like one-on-one with the devs. I'm not in the office, able to make kind of that more fun content. So I guess what would be your recommendation for like trying to find content outside of just like, going through Twitch clips and getting clips from creators? What kind of other pieces do you guys like to gravitate towards?
John, do you want to answer this one? You're like, no.
Hire us.
At Skill Tree
Hire
Marketing,
any one of these.
The NPC Guild.
I think as far as like content goes, like you can still have a relationship with someone even if you're not in an office, right? Like we talk to our studios and development team all the time, and it's like understanding like the features that they have coming out and the gameplay. I think like highlighting the gameplay itself and what makes the game actually fun, what's unique about the game and sets it apart, and how does that translate to the audience. What like you can talk about a game all day long, but if the audience you're talking to doesn't care, it's going to fall flat. So I think it's trying to come up with stuff that's really going to resonate with them. And if I had to pick one, it would definitely be like gameplay stuff. That's what people care about.
Also, look at the community members who are just the diehards or whatnot, and hire one of them on a 3-month contract to actually be your content creator in terms of stuff. Bring them behind the thing so they can see stuff early. I've brought in community managers that were just plucked from the community, and and the only difference between them before they work for me and after is their access and knowledge of what to say and whatnot. But I mean, they are passionate.
I also recommend fan art and cosplay if that is happening. That is an amazing way to engage with your community. Also, hopping onto some of the social trends, showcasing your gameplay. I'm seeing a lot of creative game promotions on TikTok by leveraging the current whatever trending. So, highly recommend leveraging those.
Just put K-pop Demon Hunter in it and you're good.
Yeah.
Very true.
And
say-
it brings to us.
That
I will
actually
say it
reminds
did work. We did get a cosplayer who's coming to our booth at PAX. So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That reminds me of another answer though too. Do a monthly Q&A with your dev on Discord in terms of stuff, and invite the fans in. We used to at Xbox, we used to call it Game with Dev, and then with Discord, people have their Discord channels and invite the devs in to do the thing, and it's content, but it's relatively easy to manage.
Yeah, also, if there's anything like interesting comes up, turn it into a story. Post it in your IG, because not everyone on Discord is going to see your IG and vice versa.
All right, Lynn, I think we got time for, not Lynn, okay, you're just going over the top.
Hi, I'm Pri. I'm a random person, and
Hello, random person.
nice to meet you.
Same.
Oh, awesome. We have so much in common. So my question is, going to a few of these panels today, there is an importance around measurements and marketing. What types of tools are affordable for the indie dev to analyze these measurables and analytics of marketing? And a second part is, if you do hire a marketing team or a community manager, how do I know if they're doing well or not, if it takes slow growth to know the outcome?
Yeah, I
If
think
they're
like,
doing well, they'll tell you.
We are always doing amazing.
We talked about this. We didn't make it to this part in our questions, but I think you all do have some good thoughts on how to do KPIs or measurements in this space.
Yeah, I mean, Google Analytics is pretty easy to do as far as cost, and I think as far as the data points go is if you're evaluating the effectiveness of a marketing consultant or agency, I think the best approach, I think everyone on the stage would agree, is the marketing people will tell you if something is underperforming and why, right? Because we recognize that not everything's gonna work. It's foolish to think that everything you do is going to be successful. So it's understanding what works, what doesn't, why, and how do you take those learnings to optimize your marketing efforts and also help inform the game. So if you're driving people to the game and you're finding that D1 retention is really low, that people are churning out, that they're not sticking with the game, that should help inform design decisions that you do as well.
Yeah,
On the sorry.
You go ahead, Asin.
On the KPIs, I just want to, something that's a pet peeve of mine. So engagement, define what engagement is on that platform for you. Because engagement is an amazing word, and it's used very frequently, but engagement, define what is an Instagram engagement for us. Is it a repost? Is it a comment? Is it a share? Is it a, combination of that? Define what player engagement means for you for each platform.
And related to that, what I'd say is just, you have to understand what's your players' motivation in terms of stuff, and so pick a couple things. On videos, it was a great one when we would spend all the money on videos. I never cared about impressions. I cared about the length of time that it was watched and if they gave it a thumbs up. And versus its thumbs down, so it's relative organic in terms of stuff. You can always pay for views. You can't pay for someone to like your stuff. So you just have to, you pick your marketing mediums. He worked at Rockstar, it's different. You can't boil the ocean, you can't do all this stuff or whatnot, but you should, as an indie especially, and as a marketer, 100% know your audience and what moves them. So pick the meaningful, to Essence point, engagement, or whatever the meaningful thing is that actually drives the results for you, and just measure that one, even if it's directionally. It's going up and to the right is where we want it going. I don't have it down to the attribute level, but hey, if all of our things are going up there, then it's working. Now, that's not great because you're like, don't want to double down, but don't do too many things and don't be afraid to like stop doing things that aren't working. Of course.
Discord has free server insights too if you wanted to use that platform for your community.
Do you want to tell everyone?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Angel, community manager for Seattle Indies. And yeah, Discord has free server insights too if you wanted to build your community on there. And while I have you all here, CTA, Nathan mentioned CTA, it's a call to action. So it's, like wish list this game here, or, buy this game here. It's a call to action. Anyway, wow, now that I have the mic, I may as well just keep going. So I know, well, yeah, why not?
Anybody else want a mic?
I have the power. No, I have the power. So I think John might have more knowledge about this, but I've noticed that while I was going through a lot of scripts and copy for games, there's a pattern. Like some of them, they start with the genre, so it becomes like the subject of the whole copy. They start with, it's a 2D platformer survival RPG roguelite side scroller with JRPG aspects that's inspired by this game set in the something universe, and it's just like, sorry, that was exaggerated for dramatic effect, but that's an entire sentence that could have been, something that could have hyped the game up. And just like you said, you have, just with the same thing with the trailer, you have like 3 seconds to get people's attention. So.
It's all about the hook.
Yes, and I actually made a template on how to write a good script in the Seattle Indies Discord.
I also love action verbs. Action verbs are our friends. And if a paragraph starts with an action verb, like embark on a journey with Sora, Donald, and Goofy, or, like explore, it has higher engagement. Please use your action verbs.
Are we at time?
No.
Oh, sorry, no. Thank you, everyone, especially my panelists. Let's give a hand to our panelists here. Thank you. What?
We have a checklist.
Thank you all for attending and coming to the inaugural Slice. As the name implies, we love indie creators in Seattle. So I hope everyone comes and tells their friends to come back next year. I certainly will. And yeah, we'll stick around and be mingling and stuff. Ask all the questions. Terribly talented group of folks. Some I've worked with forever, some I'm newer working with, but I promise you they have great knowledge. We're all super happy to share. A few of you have studios and you hit me up for questions and advice all the time. So yeah, sometimes you don't have the dollars to spend on this and that, but social currency is also a currency, and we're happy to help. And we want you to be AA, then AAA, and quadruple, and then you'll hire us all. It'll be great. Thank you very much.